Welcome to Mystery Files, where we take a deep dive into cases that span from the creepy to the truly bizarre and everything in between. I'm Ryan, and today I'll be forcing my colleague Shane to hear all about the explosive phenomenon that is spontaneous human combustion. And in the end, you'll have to decide if the mystery is solved or if it's simply a mystery.
Now, we've talked about spontaneous human combustion before in our illustrious careers.
We have talked
BuzzFeed Unsolved, back in the day, we talked about a lady
named Mary Reeser.
I remember her.
And that was just one case, a singular case of spontaneous human combustion. Today we're examining it at large, from a macro level, if you will. Boy, do we have some stuff in store for you.
Okay, I'm excited.
You don't look excited.
Yee!
And before we get into this, focus up here. Shane, focus up. Let's get those eyes open, ears open, mouth closed. This one is a little disturbing. There's going to be some stuff in there that, you know, it's just a little bit of a warning.
People
there.
blowing up, I get it.
Yeah, so you might.
What do you think I'm going to cry about it?
We're going to blur things.
Oh yeah, apologies to all the people watching this who may be triggered, who maybe have had family members blow up.
Well, I mean, we have at least 4 cases.
Well, hey, maybe they'll be watching. Sorry if any of your family members spontaneously melted.
Case number 1, Mary Reeser, AKA the Cinder Lady. In Tampa Bay, Florida, on July 2nd, 1951, at about 5 a.m., 67-year-old Mary Reeser's landlord, Pansy Carpenter, awoke to a loud thud. Unable to find the source of the noise, she went back to bed, despite noticing an odd burning smell. Later, when a telegram arrived for Mary, Pansy decided to deliver the message herself, perhaps using it as an excuse to check on her tenant as she had been visibly upset the night before. After Mary failed to answer, Pansy tried the doorknob. To her surprise, it was hot to the touch. When first responders arrived, they broke down Mary's door and rushed into the smoke-filled home. To their abject horror, against a backdrop of burnt walls, melted electrical outlets, and a mysterious grease-like substance on the rug, investigators found what was left of Mary Reeser. Her body had been reduced to a pile of ashes, with her only remains being a single foot still encased in the black slippers she had been wearing the day before.
Did we see that shit last? Because that's a foot.
No, that's we did see it, but you're not seeing it now because it's.
Because it's a foot.
Well, yeah, because it's a foot.
We don't want to show you a foot.
We have to pixelate that.
Yeah, but you can just conjure it in your mind, a foot.
Yeah. A bit of her burnt spine entangled in the spring coils of her chair, and what appeared to be Mary's skull, shrunken by the extreme heat to the size of a small cup.
I forgot about that. I like revisiting these cases because I can laugh all over again. You know, sorry it happened.
Objects surrounding the burn zone, such as wax candles and plastic items, had melted. But curiously, the fire was contained to only the chair and its immediate vicinity, which suggests that while the fire was hot enough to cremate a body, it didn't burn long enough to spread to other flammable areas of the home. Investigators were also unable to find the cause of the fire. To quote the FBI, quote, "An examination showed the presence of no oxidizing chemical substances used to initiate or accelerate combustion," end quote. Though it is worth noting that Mary Reeser was a habitual smoker and had taken at least 2 sleeping pills the night before. Now, I will say, we did an entire episode on BuzzFeed Unsolved about this.
Yeah.
And after reading that, I think it's fairly easy to surmise what happened here.
Yeah, it does seem like that would be what happened. I know there's a lot of unexplained other factors around it, like the weird gelatinous substance or whatever.
The grease-like substance.
The grease-like substance. But that could be human fat. I don't know, you know?
Could be.
And the other thing is, have you ever seen a video of like a controlled burn? Like sometimes it'll just be like a little garbage can that's on fire, and that can like catch the ceiling, and then the whole room just goes up. So it's kind of weird that like just her body would be on fire and nothing else. And I don't know how that would necessarily happen, but stranger things have happened. So
It's like a controlled burn, right?
oh, you got some. You're like a pastor at church. Yeah. Look at you. How many of those do you have, and how often are you going to be using them in this episode?
Only you will find out.
Okay.
Is that insensitive to perhaps do that after we talked about a lady exploding? Maybe. Case number 2, Jean Lucille Jeannie Saffin. In 1982, the 61-year-old North Londoner was sitting in the kitchen with her father, Jack Saffin, when, according to Jack, she suddenly burst into flames. He screamed for Jeannie's brother-in-law, Don Carroll, to come and help. The two used water to put out the flames that engulfed Jeannie, but sadly, she succumbed to her injuries 8 days later, with her official cause of death being bronchopneumonia due to burns. When questioned, Don insisted he saw flames shoot out from Jeannie's mouth and midriff. To quote, "She was roaring like a dragon. The kitchen wasn't damaged, but her cardigan melted," end quote. Tough break for the cardigan.
Tough break for Jeannie as well.
I know, I just think it's funny that he was like, cardigan was ruined though.
Cardigan melted.
We couldn't salvage.
Roared like a dragon. This one's interesting because I feel like a lot of the cases where we read about this, they don't have a witness.
Yes, in this one they say happened suddenly. So, what happened? Good question you just asked. Thank you for asking it. Let's go to case number 3. Case number 3, Michael Faherty. On December 22nd, 2010, Faherty's burnt remains were found in front of his fireplace in Ballyban, Ireland. Despite the placement of the 76-year-old's body and the lit fireplace, investigators ruled that the fireplace fire wasn't the cause of Mr. Faherty's scorching demise. Some details from this case mirror that of Mary Reeser's, including the contained nature of the burn and the lack of any clear point of ignition. But unlike Mary Reeser, Faherty's body was still intact. Coroner Dr. Kieran McLaughlin ruled the cause of death to be spontaneous human combustion, saying it's the first time in his 25-year tenure that he'd recorded such a verdict. However, many experts criticize the concept of spontaneous human combustion. Mike Green, retired professor of pathology, maintained that a source of ignition, such as a lit cigarette, needed to be present, thus not being spontaneous in that sense. There needs to be some source of ignition, whether it's a cigarette, some sort of flame that's not produced from within.
That makes sense.
However, this coroner said spontaneous human combustion. So,
Well, my thought is, how easy is it for like investigators, firefighters to go to the scene of a fire and conclusively say, there was no cigarette here? This cigarette, little tiny thing. How do you know?
I would assume that there would be some trace, but
Right.
I could be wrong.
I guess in this case, you do have the fireplace near there, but they're saying it wasn't involved. But also, could they be bad at their jobs?
It's possible. These 3 cases are far from the only reports of spontaneous human combustion throughout history, with the earliest report of the phenomenon dating back to 1641. Dr. Bartholin noted in his medical catalog an Italian knight who drank so much alcohol that he started vomiting fire. However, other entries in this catalog also included things like childbirth by mouth and conjoined triplets with animal heads.
Okay, all right.
I don't know, maybe that journal, I wouldn't call it a medical one.
No, I don't think so.
Imagine burping out a baby.
Oh?
That's pretty crazy. In 1725, northeastern France, Jeanne Lemaire drunkenly warmed her feet by the kitchen fire where her husband, Jean Millet, later found her burnt body. According to Dr. Claude Nicolas Lacat, based on second-hand accounts, the blaze had burst forth from inside Jeanne. From these testimonies, Lacat concluded spontaneous combustion as the cause of death. Think about that.
I mean, if she's got her feet up against the fire, he leaves the room, he comes back, she's exploded, whatever. Like the most obvious thing is that maybe she was wearing stockings or something that caught fire and then burned her up.
Like you would usually say something like, my feet!
My feet, they're on fire.
Ow!
Yeah, like my thought is the person investigating this who is making this conclusion is maybe not like good at their job. It's weird for a doctor to be like, she caught on fire from the inside. And you're like, well, you're a doctor. Tell me more about that. And he's like, I don't know. It beats me.
Boom. Mr. Paul Rowley, a fellow of the Royal Society, documented what remained of 62-year-old Countess Cornelia Bondy, a known drunk, after her death in 1731. To quote, 4 feet distance from the bed, there was a heap of ashes, 2 legs untouched, from the foot to the knee with their stockings on. Between them was the lady's head, whole brains, half of the back part of the skull, and the whole chin were burnt to ashes, amongst which were found 3 fingers, blackened, end quote. Like the case of Mary Reeser, the surrounding area was undamaged, save for 2 melted wax candles.
Yeah, I wish people still wrote like this. All the rest was ashes, which had this particular quality that they left in hand when taken up a greasy and stinking moisture.
I didn't even see that.
I feel like a human body would require, quite a bit of heat for it to, because the body is a wet thing.
Yes.
Full of wet blood. So for a human body to burn to the point of ashes, you need so much heat in a way that like something catching just by, maybe you got a cigarette or something and it burns your clothes. If your clothes burn, I can't imagine it's just gonna burn your whole body. Like you'll get burns on your body, but it's not gonna reduce your body to ashes, which is why I always find this so fascinating.
The idea that it could just come from maybe a cigarette or something in the environs is highly...
I mean, maybe it could. I don't know.
I don't know.
Fire is a wild thing, Let's learn more.
Let's learn more. Let's go. And you know what? Let's talk about some science. How about that?
That's fine. Sure.
In 1998, the BBC program QED conducted an experiment on air to find out if the human body is even capable of fueling a fire on its own. They had the same question you did.
Yeah.
Same question you did. On the show, a group of fire experts used a dead pig to simulate a human body, as it has a similar fat content. Look at me, I'm a fire expert. There's no name for that, I guess. It's just like...
I bet that exists. They got to learn about fires.
Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, they'll probably know all they need to know because fire's not going to like get a software update. But
just looking at fire in a lab. Ooh.
Yeah.
The dead pig was wrapped in cloth and doused in gasoline. After about 5 hours of burning, the pig exhibited similar burn damage to the damage observed in human combustion victims.
But it was doused in gasoline.
It was doused in gasoline.
See, that's a tricky part.
You know what's
Here
not
he goes again.
You know what's not
Look
doused
how
in
exciting he is.
You know it's not doused in gasoline.
That's not doused in gasoline.
No, it's not doused in gasoline.
But what's going to happen to it? That just looks like a regular piece of paper.
This is just a regular piece of paper. What could possibly happen here? I don't know.
Oh! Whoa! Yeah. Oh, I got to stop looking directly at that. It's blinding.
It's hard to not look at it, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
A more recent study in 2002, also testing for human combustibility, set amputated legs on fire, published in the Journal of Forensics.
What's on the docket today? Oh, got a big pile of legs here. Yeah, we're going to set them on fire. All right.
I'm just imagining someone approving the budget for this lab after time being like, all right, look at this line item here. Looks like you have a pile of legs. Are you making a witch's brew?
My hope is that if I donate my body to science, they'll be testing like what happens to the human body if it gets like sucked into an airplane turbine, you know?
Yeah, just like, pull! Holy shit! That big guy went boom! All right. Published in the Journal of Forensic Sciences by Angie Christensen, MA, the study found that osteoporotic bones suffered more burn damage than healthy bones, which could explain why spontaneous human combustion victims tend to be seniors. The study also confirmed that a human-fueled burning event would produce a low-heat fire that would be unlikely to spread. However, it's important to note that both these experiments required the use of an outside source of ignition, and in the case of this particular experiment, an accelerant was also used. Remember, neither an outside ignition source nor accelerant were detected in any of our mentioned cases. As for the low heat fire explanation, the legs in the experiment were never burnt to ash like Mary Reeser or Countess Cornelia's remains. So, kind of how you talked about earlier, it takes a lot to burn something to ash.
Yeah.
And add on that there is no outside source of ignition detected or at least figured out. You know, I mean, I guess in Mary Reeser's case, maybe the cigarette. I don't know.
Is it the fat? Is it like the human fat? Does that fuel it?
Supposedly. But both of those are problems that don't have clear answers in all these cases.
Right.
While science may lack consensus with regard to spontaneous human combustion, other kinds of organic matter, such as coal, compost piles, and haystacks, have been known to spontaneously combust. Trapped heat generated through the oxidation process and/or fungal and bacterial activity can cause heaps of these organic materials to suddenly burst into flames. In the case of haystacks, water can actually increase the odds of a sudden inferno, as the additional moisture can create more insulation, thereby trapping more heat. Once the temperature through an exothermic reaction reaches 400 degrees Fahrenheit, boom goes the dynamite.
You gotta be on that.
Shit.
You're not.
Hold on.
This would have worked if you had.
I just forgot where I put my papers.
Boom goes. Boom goes.
Ha-ha!
Boom. One more time.
Once the temperature through an exothermic reaction reaches 400 degrees Fahrenheit, boom goes the dynamite.
I gotta stop looking at it.
That being said, let's jump into the theories of what could have caused these people to suddenly burst into flame. And as promised, before we get to the corkboard, I'll let you set one off.
Do we have scissors? I want to make a little, like a person shape.
That was pretty impressive how quickly you did that.
Okay, this is a little person smoking a cigarette. Here we go. Oh no! Just like that.
Theory 1. The wick effect. Proposed in the 1960s by English forensic scientists, this theory is the most commonly used explanation for how a human body is able to completely burn without spreading to nearby flammable materials. The theory posits that the victim's clothing serves as a wick, with the fat in the body serving as a kind of wax in a candle-like effect, thereby allowing it to smolder for hours. Both the BBC and Angie Christensen's experiments prove that while this might be a reasonable explanation in some cases, it falls short for others. For one, the person would have to already be dead or at least extremely incapacitated, which might have been the case for Mary Reeser, as the grease-like substance in her rug was later found to be human fat. But this was not the case for Jeannie Saffin or any of the other cases in which the victim was known to be alive while burning. Also, the theory falls short on explaining how ignition would be able to occur, as there would need to be an opening for the fire to meet the fat for the effect to take place.
Yeah, this feels hard to square with, the reports of this happening somewhat quickly.
Yes.
Because, it does seem, like you said, it would take hours for this to occur.
It would take a long time.
And also, I guess maybe if you took sleeping pills, you wouldn't, but if you fell asleep and started catching on fire, you'd probably be like,
you can move around and such.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Stop, drop, and roll. Don't
Yeah.
forget about that one. And it's probably been a while since you heard that.
Theory 2, static electricity. Supernatural balls of lightning have been theorized to be the cause of some spontaneous human combustion cases. These bolts from the blue could theoretically occur in clear weather conditions and could perhaps even be attracted by certain individuals who radiate higher levels of static electrical fields than normal. In 1934, a woman in Italy named Anna Monaro reportedly generated such a high level of static electricity while sleeping that she was said to glow blue at night. In the 1980s, a woman named Jacqueline Priestman claimed to suffer a constant barrage of electrical phenomena with appliances like televisions and sparking electrical outlets, though neither woman has been known to spontaneously combust themselves. Even at normal levels, Professor Robin Beach from the Brooklyn Polytechnic Institute has claimed that collecting the right amount of static electricity could theoretically cause a combustible material to suddenly catch fire, meaning that it is not outside the realm of possibility that a static shock could serve as an unlikely but possible catalyst.
But then you would need something very flammable, right?
I mean, yeah, extremely flammable at that point, yeah.
You ever do that thing where it's like it's night and you're under like a fleece blanket and you like wiggle around a bunch and then you can see all the little staticky sparks everywhere? Shocks.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's very cool. And that's why I want to see that lady.
Did you explode?
I mean, I'm here.
Theory 3, alcohol. As far back as the 18th century, medical science believed that spontaneous combustion could be a direct result of an overindulgence in alcohol. There was even an implication that overweight and lazy women were the most likely to succumb, and that a sudden burning of the inside out might be a direct reflection on one's moral character.
Well, that's shitty.
You know, this is back in the day. They didn't know what the fuck they were talking about.
I think they exploded because they were ugly women.
While the amount of alcohol required to make one's body flammable would absolutely end your life long before you'd suddenly catch fire, there might be something to be said about alcohol's propensity to physically impair one's judgment around an open flame. And it is possible that certain spirits could serve as an accelerant.
Would there be anything to, if you had like, let's say you had an Everclear or a 151
Nice.
in your tum-tum.
Yeah. Oof. Gross.
You make a bad decision, you're drunk, you fall asleep by a fire. Would that being in your bladder by the time it burned up to that, would just be like, would you go up? Would you explode?
I don't know, maybe. I'm gonna say maybe because I don't know. Theory 4, bacteria. As stated earlier, bacteria in haystacks and compost piles can generate heat when given enough water, oxygen, and insulation. Is it possible that a sudden outbreak of bacteria inside the human body could do the same under the exact right conditions? Seeing as in most cases, a high concentration of bacteria in the body typically leads to infection, like fevers and, death, this probably is not the most likely explanation for a human to go up in flames. But given what we know about non-human organic combustion, it could perhaps be not impossible. This is kind of similar to what you were saying before, and it would be bacteria, but like I said, you probably would get sick more so than explode.
Bacteria be crazy, yeah.
Theory 4, bacteria be crazy. Theory 5, a phosphinic fart.
What is this graphic? That poor woman, she's probably just a lady who went to some stock photo company and they were like, oh, just, she was, we'll pay you $60, just stand like this. And she was like, oh, sure, that'll help me put aside some money for my grandkids for the holidays. And then we take her image, we've photoshopped an atomic fart blasting out of her ass cheeks and her bending over going, oh!
How do you not know that we actually that wasn't the intent
in
to
frame?
begin with? How do we not know that was the stock photo and we just cut it out?
I don't know.
You don't know that, do you? Yes, we did have
Ma'am, if you're out there, chime off in the comments. If you know this lady, let her know what's going on with her work these days.
Ooh, it blew my scarf off.
Oh, Jonathan!
Phosphine is a gas generated during decomposition that can spontaneously ignite when exposed to oxygen. One theory suggests that naturally occurring phosphine in the human body could, through some abnormal digestive process, escape in a victim's fart and become trapped within their clothing, leading to combustion, which, as you can see, can produce the Hadouken that's coming out of her asshole.
A mega fart, if you will.
While this theory is completely unproven, it remains a silent but deadly possibility.
You nasty little piece of shit. Get out of here. Boo! Boo! Boo!
What do you think about this fart theory?
This one's
That's
interesting.
What she's saying.
That's what she said.
Oh!
I don't know. I certainly can't rule it out because you can light a fart on fire, right?
Yes, but isn't there the danger of it going back up the tube?
I feel like when they do it, they have the flame they're usually sort of like,
Can you demonstrate?
all the way up there.
Yeah.
And they've usually
Got
got
their
the
feet in the
lighter
stirrups.
right by it because I think the gas has to be really concentrated, right?
Yeah.
So for it to fill up whatever sort of garment they're wearing, at that point I feel like it's kind of diluted. And then for it to then sort of linger there on the off chance that fire eventually comes into contact with it, feels a little bit of a fart.
I mean, it would have to be a pretty gnarly fart, too.
It would be. I don't really even want to imagine the sound of that.
So what do you think? What do you think about all these theories? Which one stands out to you?
I think the ones that stand out to me are the wick effect and alcohol. And this has happened so infrequently throughout history that it seems like it's maybe just not one thing that's going on here. Yes. I feel like each of these cases is some sort of rare freak set of circumstances that is hard to pin down.
Let me ask you this, though.
Yes.
Do you think human spontaneous combustion is real?
I don't think it is.
Okay.
I think if it was real, we'd probably have a better handle on it, scientifically.
We'd also see it more, probably.
Right.
That would be unfortunate. While science may provide evidence for how a human body can sustain a slow and contained burn, there is no single satisfying explanation with the power to extinguish the possibility that a person is capable of spontaneously going up in flames. Who's to say that, although rare, the exact perfect conditions couldn't somehow suddenly ignite inside an unwitting victim? But for now, we must accept that the frightening phenomenon of a spontaneous human combustion will perhaps forever remain a mystery. So we officially don't know if it's not true.
Yeah.
But I would say it probably isn't.
I mean, yeah, it's happened so infrequently. It makes me wonder if there are conditions that are just so wildly rare that it could happen.
It could happen as like some sort of freak accident.
Yeah.
5 times.
I mean, I lean on the side of it's not possible.
Yeah, because even in my opinion, all these cases, they were near fire sources for the most part.
What if somebody murdered someone and then just set them on fire?
It's possible, but then they would still have to burn them to ash, which...
Well, it seems like a lot of them were.
What I'm saying is that would be hard to do without the proper heating conditions. I don't know. I guess that's why it's a mystery.
I guess that's why this show is called Mystery Files. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Now, perhaps to end this, we'll do a big one.
Let's do a big one.
I'm gonna let you do it because it's frightening to me.
I'm gonna hold it right in front of my face.
I don't think you should do that.
I'm not gonna do that. All right, you ready? Look at this.
Yeah.
That's nice, right?
It's a big piece.
We'll see you next time, everybody, here on Mystery Files. Oh! It did burn my pants a little bit. Why didn't that one go as fast? We'll see you next time, everybody.
Is there something different about you?
I've been putting on numbers, at the gym, putting up those big numbers.
That's
so
probably,
yes,
I
I've
think
been
that's what it is.
working out.
That's what it is.